Welcome to section 1 of part 2 of our Vectorworks drafting tutorial. We're going to work on drafting in scenery for our production of Laughter on the 23rd Floor, which is our first design project. So go ahead and open up the generic theater drawing that we were working on before, and go ahead and immediately save it as a new file name. This is a good habit to get into if you work in a space repeatedly and you have a base drawing of that theater, just to open it up and immediately save it as a new file name so that you don't risk doing something that you don't want to the base file. So I've got this one named as Laughter on the 23rd Floor with my initials TCR. I've already done that, so I'm actually gonna, well, I'll just hit save. It's gonna ask me if I want to replace it. Yep, sure do. Great, and now I have a new file. My base generic theater file has not changed at all. I know it's going to be exactly the same the next time I enter into it. So we need to set a new origin or a new 0, point for our drawing. Up until now, we've sort of just been drafting out in space. So let's clean that up. We're going to go up to Tools and Origin and User Origin. Great. And we're going to set the user origin on the next mouse click, which does exactly what it says. So we're going to say OK. The next time I click my mouse is going to be the new origin of my drawing. So I'm going to zoom in and go right where center line and plaster line meet. I get the midpoint smart point, and I'm going to click. And now I have a new 0, that we would reference in the theater. So in the measurements that I take off of that, I know we're going to translate accurately to measurements in the physical space. All right, we need to start drafting in another layer. Up until now, we've been in the theater floor plan layer down here, and we want to be drafting in scenery since that's what we're putting in. So I'm going to click to activate that, and then I'm still going to make sure that my layer options show snap others is selected. So now I'm in the scenery layer. I'll come out of that, and you'll see that I can still activate the smart points of the theater that I've drawn in, but I can't select anything. I'm on a different layer. I'm on a layer above where all of these are drawn, so I can't affect or change them at all, but I can still reference them. So we'll start drawing some walls here. I'm going to zoom in on our new origin point, our 0, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. So 4 is my shortcut. And I'm going to put my cursor right here at the midpoint, click once and drag to the right to start my rectangle. And I want this rectangle to be 16 feet long, so I'm going to tab in and make my delta x 16 feet. I'll tab again to make my y 3 inches. Enter and click to insert my rectangle. So now I have a rectangle that's 16 feet long and 3 feet wide, or 3 inches high. Obviously, this is not where I want the wall to actually be in space, so we're going to go ahead and move it, Command M. And I'm going to go ahead, and these numbers are correct because I've done it once already, to move the wall minus 8 feet on the x-axis, so it's going to move 8 feet stage right, and it's going to move 15 feet 7¼ inches upstage, which sounds like kind of a strange measurement, but it's going to work out in our favor. So I'm going to click OK and zoom out a bit, and there's the new placement of the back wall of my set. So I'm going to create another wall, activating my rectangle tool again, and I'm going to go to the downstage right corner of this scenic wall that I just placed, get that smart point of bottom left. I'm going to click to start my rectangle and drag down into the left a little bit and enter into my floating display bar. And I'm going to make this one be -3 inches wide, and our delta y is going to be minus 16 feet. So I have another rectangle that's 16 feet by 3 inches. Keep in mind with the negative numbers, it's referencing the origin point of the object you've created. So if you're going to the left of that origin, it's going to be negative, right is to the positive, same with up and down. Next thing we need to do is rotate this wall so it's at the correct angle that it needs to be at. So I'm going to hit X to get back to my selection tool. And then I'm going to go get the rotate tool, which is in our basic tool palette, or basic tool set. It's right here. It does have a keyboard shortcut, which I believe is, Option equals. I've never used that, but you are more than welcome to. So I'm going to click on that. And I get this protractor. So the first click that I need to do is set the point that I want to rotate on, basically the pivot point of this wall, which in this case is going to be that point right there where it meets the other wall. So that point's not going to move, it's just going to pivot around it. And then I need to set the rotation plane, which for me, I'm going to hold shift and come straight down the object. And that's the plane I'm going to rotate on. So I can click that again to set that. And now I can rotate the wall however I want to. I'm going to come off this way until I get a smart point of 30 degrees, which is what that angle is telling me there. So I'll click that, and now I've rotated my wall 30 degrees out, which will be great. The stage left wall is going to be the same as the stage right now. So while I've still got it selected, I'm just going to take my select my mirror tool, verify that I'm in duplicate mode up at the top, select the bottom center of my upstage scenic wall and drag it straight down. And it shows me where I'm going to mirror. Click once, and now I've mirrored that in, and I have the basic outline of what my set is going to be. Now we haven't changed any of the line weights of these, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to shift click to select all 3 of them, come over to my attributes palette and change them to 7. I'm going to go ahead and save this file again, just since I've done some work. In case something happens, I don't want to lose that. Okay, so this set is going to have an elevated section to it. So we're going to go ahead and draw that in. So I'm going to activate my line tool, shortcut number 2, and I'm just going to mirror the downstage edge of the upstage line, that's 16 feet, clicking on each of the points. And go back to my selection tool, and then I'm going to go ahead and move this line downstage. So Control M for move. My X offset is going to be 0. Don't want it to move left and right at all. And I want to bring it downstage 8 feet. So my Y offset will be minus 8 feet. Click OK, and there it's moved my line. Now it clearly does not intersect either one of the other walls because they're out at a 30-degree angle. But we're going to go back to our Connect Combine tool that we used clear back in the beginning of part 1 of the tutorial. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to grab this line and bring it over to this wall and click, and this wall and click. And now I've extended that line all the way across. And because it's a couple of steps, I'm going to take that line and I'm going to duplicate it yet again. Command D. And Command M to move it. And this time I'm just going to move it downstage 8 inches. Oops, I did the wrong way. Control Z, Control Move, minus 8 inches. There we go. And going to grab that Connect Combine tool one more time to connect those. Oops, to there. So great. Now I've got a 0 level, I've got an 8-inch rise, and I've got a 16-inch rise. So our theatrical convention says that we label those things as such, so I'm going to zoom in on the stage right part of this, and I'm going to activate the circle tool. Its shortcut is the number 6, but I'm going to click on that. And again, in the toolbar, I have a number of different options. For this one, I'm going to click the radius mode. So you're dictating the size of the circle based on its radius. I'm going to click once to start my circle, and then you'll see as I come out, I can make that circle larger or smaller, and it'll tell me what that length is. Like everything else, I can tab into it, and I'm going to say that the radius is 3 inches, and I'll click to complete that circle. I'm going to go back to my selection tool and click off of it to deselect the circle. And then I'm going to change the text alignment before I put any text in it. So I'm going to go up to text, to alignment, and I have 2 options here. I've got left, center, right, and justify, and top baseline, center, bottom baseline, and bottom. I want both of those to be center, so I'm going to do this twice. Alignment, center. So that's set. And then I'm going to create some text. So again, activating the text tool in the basic tool set, I'm going to hit number 1. That's my shortcut. Gives me my cursor. Click once to place it. This one is going to be 8 inches, so I'm going to type in 8. Escape once to get out of it. X to get to my selection tool. And then I'm going to move my 8 into the center of my circle. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a group so it just always gets moved together. So I'm going to draw a marquee around both of those and Command G to turn that into a group. And I'm going to grab that and move it up onto the stair. We need to do that once more because that's our 8-inch rise. We need to go to our 16, so I'm going to duplicate this. Command D. I'm going to move it straight up stage onto the next level, and double click on here to enter into my group edit section. I'm going to select the 8 and turn that to 16 for 16 inches. Escape once to get out of it. X to get to my selection tool. I'm going to deselect and exit my group. And now I have an 8-inch step into a 16-inch platform. And it looks like we still have a fill. So I'm going to go back into this group, select my 16 again, and say that it has a fill of none. Just to be safe. Now we'll exit the group. Okay, that's better. Great. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and save my file again. That is section 1 of part 2, getting our basic set into place. When we go to section 2, we'll be adding doors and windows and some escape platforms in. So go ahead and fit to page or fit to objects, save your file, and we'll be back for section 2.